Look.
Scrooge? Is that you? The differences between Disney's A Christmas Carol and Netflix's new Scrooge, A Christmas Carol, go way beyond Scrooge's serious glow-up. Are you ready to see them all? Or are you more of a bah humbug type? Number 1. Ebenezer Scrooge has really never looked better.
It's your Uncle Scrooge! Yes!
Of course, there have been countless different A Christmas Carol adaptations over the years, and as a result, we've seen quite a few different Ebenezer Scrooges grace our screens. In A Christmas Carol, Scrooge was an old, creepy guy, which is exactly how Scrooge usually is. It's also very hard to ignore that he's a little Jim Carrey-esque in nature. He basically looks how you'd imagine Scrooge looking as you're reading the book. Well, in Scrooge, the titular old miser looks pretty dapper and quite a bit younger than he did in A Christmas Carol. Come to think of it, this guy doesn't even look that mean, which would make it all the more scary if he was your boss and found out that he was positively evil after you got hired. Rather than looking scary, Scrooge looks much nicer here and has very different clothes. He must really be using all that wealth he's hoarding in this version. Number 2. Jacob Marley has a very different vibe too. That's right, while Scrooge has the most obviously different appearance in Netflix's new Scrooge adaptation, he's far from the only character to get an extreme makeover. Like Scrooge, Jacob Marley is a super important character who has had many different looks over the years. In fact, sometimes he's looked so different that we couldn't see him at all. Disney gave us a pretty classic interpretation of Jacob Marley. He looks the way most of us would imagine a ghost to look, and he has those ever important Marley chains. Compared to other versions, this Marley is actually pretty scary, especially for a movie that's supposed to be kid-friendly. Seriously, when the bandage keeping his jaw on comes off, and this happens, we would have totally freaked out seeing this as kids. We're not freaking out about it now, though, or anything. This is totally fine and not gross. At all. The new version of Marley is entirely different, thankfully. While he's less disturbing, he's definitely more confusing. He looks like a blend of icy and fiery and seems to have lightning and smoke coming off of him. Pretty weird stuff. This Marley looks more like a villain in a superhero cartoon than a ghost. And, do you have any idea what's going on with this guy's eyes?
I have arranged for 3 visitors.
Number 3. This is an entirely different Bob Cratchit than the one Disney fans are used to. The new Bob Cratchit looks young and wide-eyed. He seems more animated, lively, and energetic in the new adaptation. A Christmas Carol's Bob Cratchit is older and more downtrodden, and he's definitely mostly there to pull at our heartstrings. And to be fair, pulling at our heartstrings is kind of what the Cratchits are all about, so we totally get it. Hang in there, Bob.
Mr. Scrooge! Oh dear,
Number 4. If you've never heard of Scrooge's dog before, trust us, you're definitely not alone. If one thing's for sure, it's that kids love movies with cute pets. Okay, let's be real, we all love movies with cute pets. So since Netflix's Scrooge seems to be catering a little bit extra to a young audience, it's really no wonder that the creators chose to add a furry friend to the mix. Unlike any other A Christmas Carol adaptations that we can think of, Scrooge has a trusty 4-legged sidekick on his journey. We'll admit though, both before and after he becomes a Christmas-loving nice guy, Scrooge seems like way more of a cat person to us. Number 5. The difference in animation style is probably what sticks out the most when you look at these two movies. Robert Zemeckis directed Disney's A Christmas Carol, and you may have already guessed what else Zemeckis worked on. Yes, if you already didn't know, Robert Zemeckis directed A Christmas Carol 5 years after directing another Christmas classic, The Polar Express. The Polar Express has received a lot of attention over the years for its unique animation style and its vaguely uncanny valley-looking characters. A Christmas Carol definitely shares this look with its fellow holiday film. It also clearly strives to opt for a realistic appearance, unlike Netflix's Scrooge. Scrooge's animation style is very different. It looks much less realistic and more cartoony, and this definitely lends itself to all of its different, more off-the-wall looking characters. Scrooge's musical numbers set it apart. Over the years, many adaptations of A Christmas Carol have been musicals. Since Disney's A Christmas Carol stuck pretty closely to its source material, it didn't include any musical numbers. Except for, of course, that Andrea Bocelli theme song. Once again, though, it's a much more serious vibe. Since Netflix's Scrooge is a lot more whimsical and silly, it's no surprise this one's an original musical. It's got full-blown musical dance numbers, including this I Love Christmas song that we really wish we could get out of our heads. But we definitely think we'll be singing it all holiday season.
I could send you a happy new year.
Number 7. The Ghost of Christmas Past sure isn't like it used to be. No pun intended. In Disney's version, the Ghost of Christmas Past is a candle person, which is actually a pretty accurate adaptation of this character based on Charles Dickens' description of it. That really doesn't make the way this guy looks any less weird though. The new Ghost of Christmas Past is a woman with a flame coming out of her head instead of a guy with a full flame head.
Oh, hello. It's Scrooge, isn't it?
And this version is way less likely to give you nightmares.
Oh, well, I would very much like to see why not.
Number 8. In most adaptations, the Ghost of Christmas Present tends to stick pretty close to the story. You know, big burly guy with a beard, a robe, and a Christmas tree crown. Well, Disney stuck to this description to a T. Netflix definitely made a few changes for their version. He looks a lot more Santa-inspired here, which is totally fair. There is something very Santa-y about this character now that we think about it.
You just have to do the best you can with the time you have.
Number 9. The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come is another character who has a standard look that adapters tend to stay true to. Once again, Disney stuck with the classic look, but with just a little extra scariness. As for Scrooge, the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come is pretty hardcore. Seriously, the guy has fire flying around him. Why? Once again, we have no idea, but we love it. That seems to be a theme with a lot of Scrooge's directorial choices.
So I should change, should I?
Number 10. These movies are very different as far as how kid-friendly they are. As you can probably already tell, A Christmas Carol took full advantage of the freedom animation gave them to make things a bit scarier and more graphic. Scrooge used its medium in an entirely different way, and it's clear that they made things a lot cuter and a bit more friendly. And it's definitely better for younger audiences as a result. Number 11. The comedy in A Christmas Carol and Scrooge is also pretty different. While these two movies are telling the same story, they're doing so with two unique tones. A Christmas Carol's sense of humor is pretty focused around Jim Carrey, when it has a sense of humor at all. In general, it's much more somber in nature. Scrooge's comedy is more slapstick, silly, and young audience focused.
There's only one problem. Not sure whether to stuff the goose with the stuffing or stuff the stuffing with the goose.
Number 12. Scrooge has a bit of magic that we didn't expect. A Christmas Carol doesn't involve magic beyond just the classic ghosts and time travel. Come to think of it, adaptations of this story never really do. In Scrooge, however, there's way more magic involved. Not only do the ghosts have some much more wild powers than they usually do, but there are even magical creatures that appear in this adaptation.
So what's next, friend?
What do you think of the differences between Scrooge and A Christmas Carol? Which one is your favorite? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you love videos like this one, make sure to like and subscribe to The Things Animated for all the latest on your animated favorites.